Yeah. And became an American citizen 3 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Couldn't want
Follow me, please.
That made me want to get out of knowledge.
As a general rule, tall people watch the overhead, please. Thank you.
Please.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, ladies, we'll have lunch served any second now.
Wow.
Okay, welcome to the Captain's Inn Port Cabin. This is not where he would normally spend his time, but I suppose he could if he wanted to. But normally he would be up in the his sea cabin, which is next to the bridge where logically the captain should be. But this was used whenever the ship was in port. Receptions, social occasions, meetings, conferences, receptions for VIPs and so on. And it has its own galley or its own kitchen on the other side of that bulkhead. And meals can be served here very easily. It also has in there for the captain's comfort or a guest, queen size bed and a private shower and bathroom in there. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, you feel free to take photographs of anything you'd like, no restrictions. You might want to go in there if you get an idea of the vintage of this facility. Take a look at that computer on the desk, and that should tell you about all you need to know. You guys are too young to have done this.
Older than
I'm
me.
not. I think you have one.
It's bigger than the actual bedroom.
Literally a man cave.
That's Captain Case. Yep. So you know, all the way to the ship's final second decommissioning. The third from the end is Captain Case. His picture should also be on the very end because he was in charge. He was in command of this ship when it was decommissioned, or when it went through Operation Desert Storm, right up until the time it was decommissioned in 1992. Very nice guy. After he died a couple of years ago, unfortunately, but he used to drop by occasionally. So I showed up with long hair and a beard one time, and nobody knew who he was. And then whoever the poor tour guide was out there, he started asking questions. The tour guide said, "I don't know." Finally, 1947, President Truman, and later on, both Presidents Bush and some other notables, including one. And she did right on top of turret number 1. And it's a very famous video. It's on YouTube if you really get curious.
If you could turn
And I'll try it again, unfortunately. Now, any questions on this facility at all? Okay, this gentleman.
Please take a break. Remain ready for work. Johnny.
Okay, tall people, please be aware of this when you step on this thing here. It's a little low. Engagement Center, CEC. I'm going to let him take this in just a moment. You've probably heard of the Combat Combat Information Center, CIC. Well, we have one of those in the ship too, but it's a couple of decks below us, and was not nearly capacious enough to contain most of the stuff that we had in the 80s. So a story I like to tell is when the ship was being modernized, they had to add all this stuff. There was not nearly enough room in the Combat Information Center, so they had to find another space.
Attention on board
And
the
this
Battleship
project
Missouri.
didn't require a whole lot
World War
of
II and Korean
reconstruction,
War
so I
veterans
found this
arriving.
place. Interestingly,
Thank
what
you
it
for your
was,
service.
before that, this was Fleet Admiral Halsey's flag headquarters. Had a couple of offices, bedroom, shower, of course, and right in this area, there was a conference room, tables, several chairs, and was used quite frequently for.
My name is Ralph. I was Chief Petty Officer on board between 1988 and 1990, and this was my space. I also worked down in CIC, which is a few decks below here. And there's not much there. This is really the more exciting place. This was the spot from where the ship could be fought. This was where the weapons were launched, where authorization was given to plot to fire the main battery, secondary battery. The missile launch systems are all here. I'll go over that in a minute for you. And there was a lot of other things that went on here. This chair here, that raised in the center, is for the tactical action officer. He is the captain's designated representative of CEC. He would direct the fighting of the ship from here. You can see here he has access to a regular phone network. He has the 1MC here. He can dial in just about any space on the ship. Now, getting underway for a ship this big is challenging. For that, we do actually two types of navigation. We take the OSs, which is what I were, would take radar cuts range to points of land that were identifiable here and identifiable on the chart. And we take those distances and swing them, and wherever those arcs cross, that was the position of the ship. Now the quartermasters topside are taking visual bearings, and then they're taking directions in where those arcs cross, and then we compare those positions. Now it's tough because the ship's moving while we're doing this. We're actually maybe 50, 60 yards further down than what the actual position was when it was calculated. But this is really important because a ship this size doesn't stop on a dime. It doesn't turn in its own circle. And when you're in restricted waters like the channel here, things can go bad really quickly if you're not absolutely precise on your navigation. That's not true. Pearl Harbor is probably the most difficult harbors to get in and out of, but there are others that are almost as bad. Over here, this is a radar repeater. We call it a repeater because the main radar, surface radar, which is the SBS-10, takes this console takes this input from the SBS-10, and this would be where the surface plot was taking place. Underway, when we're not navigating, there would be sailors here with what's called a maneuvering board, where we could calculate the position and course and speed of ships that we contact. Again, that's very important because ships don't turn on a dime, and merchant vessels generally ignore the rules of the road. So you have to be aware of what's going on around you. This is called the Dead Reckoning Tracer. This is a really interesting device. This actually dates back to about the Korean War, I think. But there's a thing below here called a bug. It's basically a circle with a light, and it takes inputs from the ship's heading and pit log, which is the speed, and it moves across the paper. And from there, we can take bearings and ranges and get a true geographic picture of what's going on around the ship. And in cases if we have incident at sea, a close pass or brush, this becomes a legal record. So this is absolutely important that it be maintained correctly. Another radar repeater here. We have status boards all over the place here. This is the surface contact board. Skunks, surface contact, unidentified, are designated by letters: J, Juliet, K, Kilo, A, L, Lima, and you see you get bearing, you get range, and you get also a closest point of approach, which is where, if everybody stays on the same course, where that ship's going to pass closest to us. And we have to keep a 10,000 yard bubble around the ship in order to give us maneuvering room. So if one of those ships is calculated a CPA closer than 10,000, then one of us has to maneuver for safety purposes. These consoles here, this is an IFF box. There's 4 modes, 1, 2, 3 alpha, and 4. 4 is military only. And when I was controlling aircraft, I'd use this because I had an aircraft come up and I asked him, what are you squawking? And he'd tell me mode 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I dial in 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'd get a enhanced piece of video on the radar display showing me exactly where he was. So that's that. This is radar set control. From here, you control the tuning, how fine the contact is. This is more art than skill to do this because there's radar conditions change as you go across the ocean. So it's important to know how to do this and do it right so you don't lose contacts out there. Otherwise, British calls down and says, "Hey, we have a contact 20 degrees to port. How come it's not on the board?" Oh, well, there it is. This is the air search station. We have an air search radar that searches out to about 250 miles. The person operating that would be here. This becomes a very busy moment when if we're in an exercise and we're having, sometimes we have B-52s fly cruise missile profiles, which is right down on the deck, high speed end. I don't know if you've ever seen a B-52 down on the deck at high speed. It is quite a sight. These are the harpoon consoles here. The harpoon console. From here, we can launch any one of the 32. Oh, I'm sorry. Harpoon's over here. It has been a few years. And here we can launch any of the 16 harpoons aboard. Harpoon was a very smart missile. It wasn't until a later model. It was primarily an anti-ship weapon, but later on it became an anti-land weapon as well. Okay, this then would be this. I think it's the Sea-Wiz, isn't it? The Sea-Wiz?
No, that's not the Sea-Wiz. That's Slick 32. It's called.
Oh, okay, the Slick 32. Okay, this is all right. EW stuff. Okay, we have a Tomahawk launcher here, 3 more over here, and I think on the side of one of these, in grease pencil, is the record of every. You guys didn't wipe it off, did you?
No, I think it's the last one over.
The last one over?
Yeah. It's on one of
Here it
those.
is. Here it is.
Yeah, okay.
You can walk in here and see that, but sailors love to write stuff down. And every Tomahawk that was launched by this ship during Desert Storm is listed on the side of that console over there. An interesting little piece of it.
If you can, tell us exactly how this works. Got to see that's at that position. What's he doing?
Okay, he's loading targeting information into the missile before it's launched. He'll receive, will he get the information via satellite, or we get range and bearing off of radar, or if we have over the horizon aircraft out there, we'll get information from them. And he types that in there, types in, there is a selection for flight profile that you have to select. And I wasn't a harpoon Tomahawk guy, so I can't tell you exactly what that was. But anyway, all that information would be listed in here. And then up on, you have 2 permission to fire keys. This is nuclear permission to fire. I won't go there. But there's also fire, inhibit, enable. This is for conventional. Captain has another key up on the bridge. And when the information is loaded up and everything's ready to fire, then we call up to the captain and we say, we tell him we have the target, we have it locked, we're ready to fire. And then when he's satisfied that all of the requirements have been met, he'll turn his key, and we can turn our key down here and launch.
All right.
And Tomahawk was where the Tomahawk. Yep, good. Now this was the communications table here. You see there's several different colors of. This is the red phones are secure. We don't need signs to talk on secure, so you can pick this up, squeeze the button, and say USS New Jersey. This is USS Missouri communications check, and they would come back. And this device here allows us to select any of a number of different channels, discrete frequencies to speak on. Same one here. We have this is internal communications device. We can connect to any one of a number of different places to speak to them over this. And you just speak into it, and you'd go bridge combat, and they come back and they say, "What's for lunch?" or whatever. So we have 2 more secure voice units here. There's a sound-powered phone system here, which you can select any one of the number of channels. They all have 2-letter designations. The one we used most often here was JL. That was J lookout for lookouts. And we would communicate with the lookout, and the bridge would be on that channel. So we'd be talking back and forth for information. This is we use this for a lot of things. When we're under air attack, we would use this for air ops and for marking contacts as they were identified and located. But you see here, this is set up for a screening station, and this is, I'm assuming that we're the guide here. It's the center of the formation, which is weird because the carrier's in the front. Anyway, each one of the ships here has a designated sector assignment, and say for the Ranger from 250 to 290, from let's say 10 to 20,000, and that's the box. And when you're steaming in this particular program at night, you can be anywhere inside that box, but you can't leave the box because you're going to probably run into the Bay Area, the Long Beach, or the left, which is really bad. So anytime the formation is changed, that information goes up here, so the TAO knows exactly where the other ships are supposed to be. And that's really important because at night, if you're an MCON and all your radars are turned off and you have to make a course change, you want to make sure that you're not turning into another ship in the dark, which if you've never been to see it at night and there's no moon, it is darker than the side of Darth Vader's pocket. I mean, it is black out there. You literally can't see a thing. So it's very important that this situation with awareness be kept by the TAO and everybody else in here.
And by the way, the man behind there would be actually the enlisted man or 2 with headsets on, getting information for the parts of the ship, and they're writing backwards.
Yes, so that
This guy could get it real time front view, and they had to go to school to learn that skill. Some interesting stories behind that. I'm going to flip the lights.
Sure, go ahead.
This is kind of what it would look like most of the time in here.
See, the blue lights are easier on the eye, so if you do have to go topside, then this is easier to make the transition from bright white lights. Now, most modern combatants, the Bird-class destroyers and the Viz cruisers, they keep the lights on all the time because it's a completely different kind of display system there. But this is what it would look like underway, except you'd have noise coming out of the speakers from the HF circuits and contacts, people phoning in on secure. It's not here, but there was a gray phone here that allowed us to talk non-secure to other units in the formation, and that was non-secure, so you had to use call signs. So if, for example, I want to talk to the Long Beach, then I call them up and say, Lima 2 Bravo, this is Mike 6 November. And everybody, those call signs change every 24 hours, and so everybody knows what the call sign is, and that's how you communicate unsecure.
How loud would it be when all the equipment's running, like all the fans and everything? And quite loud, or?
It's not too bad, but during general quarters, there would be about between 40 and 45 people in here. So you're, and at that point, the air conditioning system, which is shut down anyway during GQ, it gets fairly uncomfortable, tropical. This is CWIS. CWIS is that R2D2 looking thing on the top side. This was the third console down on the side, the right side has a list of the missiles. Oh yeah, the monitor here, we had cameras located over the flight deck when we did flight ops for helicopters, and then we could see there. We also could switch to a camera pointed over the bow, so you can see what was in front of us. You learn that, I'm sure. This is a close-in weapon system, or CWIS. This was an amazing piece of technology when it was first developed because it tracks by radar. The dome on top is a radar. It's very what we call a short scan, which is you have radars that sweep like this. You have radars that sweep like this. The one for the CWIS does this. It's a very narrow beam because you have to have very accurate information, particularly if you're using an out cruise missile. And they'd set up you could designate a search sector for each CWIS, and you know if the target's within engagement parameters. And to give you an example of how good the system was, when it was in development, there was a Navy aircraft towing a target sleeve, and the CWIS locked onto the target sleeve and shot up the target sleeve, and then started shooting up the cable until the guy had to drop the cable and bail out. And, they had to shut down. But that's how good the system was. If you could track in on a cable 2.5, 3, 4 miles away and fire at that cable, you know that it's going to be effective against almost any cruise missile that's going to be threatening the ship.
That Army guy was in ship for a while, and he said that they had what they call it the phalanx,
Yes.
same device. So actually they could shoot down incoming mortar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Mortar rounds, incoming artillery rounds. If they fire a 105 millimeter shell at you, you can track in on it and shoot that baby down. It's never been done before. So this is an amazing weapon system, way above its time. Now I don't know its capability against the hypersonic missiles. It's probably something up there off not. These are all just electrical switchboards. We have classified information in here up to top secret. We also had crypto in here because we had to reload the crypto every so often to sync up with our secure voice communications. A lot of stuff was secured in here. Actually, we had 4 of those. Over here, this is my station. This was where we would occasionally get aircraft for us to control. Not fighters so much, although we did do some of that. But helicopters for over-the-horizon targeting. We would put up a helicopter and send them out 70, 80 miles out ahead of us, and then they would send it back targeting information to where we could target. We could target either by using a main battery or missile shot. And so I sat here, and also when we took supplies aboard via Kilo, which is called the Vert Rep, and that was always good because they're always bringing mail, and that was before email. So I would sit here, and here's my IFF box. I have a screen here that allows me to see what's going back on the flight deck. And this is a really interesting piece of equipment because using this, you can even offset the center of the scope. So because if you blow out, if you increase the range on this, then your piece of video is smaller and smaller and smaller. But you can keep it a shorter range and then locate your center off screen. So now you can still track your helicopter at extreme range and still have. We were doing I had control of a Hilo, was doing over the horizon targeting for us, and he got a chip light. He was about 70 miles, I guess. And chip light, you have a main combining gearbox for the tail gear, and when that gear starts to come apart, there are magnets inside it that will track and catch the shredded metal, and then there's a chip light, and from there on, the crew is on the clock. They have to get down and they have to get fast. So they contact. I had them under control. So I had 2 P3 that was running at the time, and they called me and told me what's going on. So I gave them a vector back to their ship. Told, we have emergency. I tasked one of the crews to escort the helicopter back to the ship. And to make matters worse, when they got within 10 miles, we just sailed into a fog. So I had to kind of manually get him in here.
That all serves as air traffic control. Is correct?
Yeah, tactical air traffic control. So I can control either helicopters, P3s, or fighters from this station. And we can get fighter control very often. That was always carriers' job. I did a lot of helicopter work from here.
Okay, good.
And I think I've covered that.
Okay, let's get on to the next. Any questions?
Sorry, you get me started and just don't shut up.
Well, that's all right. I'm glad you're here. I have things covered, but I run knowledge after a while. We don't. So.
That's one other one. This one here, people have always asked. This device here shows the direction the turrets are pointed. It shows the direction that the directors are pointed. So you always know where your guns are pointed, where your radars and your directors are pointed, because that's if the directors are pointed there, that's where the guns are pointed.
Okay.
So here you go.
Okay, we're going to go out this door. Kind of heavy. Watch your shoulders.
When was the last
This
time
thing
you
right here.
When was the last time you've been over it?
Oh, gosh, years before.
Yes. It hasn't gotten any lighter. Yes.
At this point,
Okay, that's good. Just fill it here, please. Okay, now we're standing on what commonly called the Admiral's veranda decks, because that was Admiral Hall's, that was Fleet Admiral headquarters there. And I guess you could probably use your imagination and picture Admiral Hall's facing the deck. However, the one thing I want to just mention here, this is one area in the ship we're going to try to preserve the old 1940s teak if possible. And
Yes, it's really,
I bet it does, yes.
but this column, which is called the Citadel, actually goes right down through the ship. And so it protects vital systems. The bridge crew, they'd be standing, most times they would be here from here, they would steer the ship. The officer deck would be in here. And this ship was, the Iowa class was designed and built about the time when it was rumored that the Japanese were building a class of battleship with Japan, and the motto was 18-inch guns. This was designed to accept damage from 18-inch guns and still continue fighting.
Okay. We get a better view in here from around the other side, by the way. No, well, yeah, you follow it around. Watch out, there's a little downslope there. You're going to get a surprise. Now, if it starts to rain up there, you get down one deck and you're all covered. don't have to worry. This is not going to be on the text.
Okay.
This is a better view of the helm or the steering wheel of the ship, and it's very interesting. And most, if not all, of the fighting spaces and the control spaces in the ship you can't see outside. It's all indirect. The radar and so on. Got again 17 inches of steel. And no hurry to be sure. Okay, right in here is the chart room. Chart room in the 40s.
I suspect
It'll go out every few minutes right from where we'll finish this one, but teach you a lot of stuff about the ship that we haven't covered here. But right here, this is the surrender deck. This is where World War II ended, and it's quite a story. So if you don't want to take the whole tour, wait till one of my colleagues gets up here to tell you the story, because it's very interesting. It changed all of our lives, even if we weren't alive at the time. So. Anyway, okay, follow me. We got one more pièce de résistance. I know you're anxious, but control. Just getting everybody down here. Where's the rest of our This is turret number 1, and very interesting place. The only thing I would add is it's a little narrow going in, but once you're inside, there's plenty of room. So it's a virtual basketball court. Yeah, well, maybe not that large, but anyway, we'll be in there about 7 or 8 minutes. I think you're going to find it very interesting, and I bet he could probably add a couple of things to it as well. So all I need is somebody to volunteer to go in first. You wouldn't? All right, yeah. Just go right straight through. Okay, let's not fight for position. Come on. or 11 or so spread around here, so it's not quite as bad. So if I can see, be a good start off. There's